this little boy with this cute little face looks Jamal directly into his eyes, and he says to him, "You're white! You're gonna get shot 50 times if you try!"
So it lets my limbs and things move in frame because that shutter's not capturing it fast enough. So you'll notice there's a bit of...
I don't want to see any bright ignorance.
Where are you?
Today I want to talk about what brought me to this space here in YouTube. I really hadn't done much, over the past few years. I mean, other than the past few months, I haven't been here that much. And so I really wanted to talk about the pandemic and how it affected me profoundly, and I'm certain, pretty much everybody, and how I'm really looking forward to seeing what artists created during this pandemic. Other playwrights, I'm a playwright, other filmmakers, musicians. I just want to see what comes out of this time. I'm really excited about that, so I wanted to share my story and my situation. So what happened with me was, as I said, I'm a playwright. I mean, I do a few different things, but I would consider the main thing is that I'm a solo performing artist in the theater. So I had written a new play. It's called The Red Plaid Suitcase. It was supposed to open at the Signature Theater here in New York City last June 12th to be exact. And obviously because of the pandemic it got canceled, and I was devastated, like broken. My spirit was just broken. I worked so hard. I mean, anybody who knows me knows I work pretty hard all the time, but I took this to a whole different level. I was so excited to get on that stage. I was going to bring a lot of what I felt was just newfound performance levels that I had found in my rehearsal process leading up to this show, this opening. And also, I had opportunity to be going to a lot of colleges after that, and everything got canceled, meaning all my money too. So anyway, after the complete devastation I was dealing with, I decided to make a film of my play originally, Now, at the time, I had no idea what I was doing. I would just take my cell phone and make a movie. I recorded myself all the time on my cell phone, walking around the city. I rehearse walking around New York all the time.
All right, first I had to move, right? And then I get laid off at McDonald's, man. I am not taking these food stamps. I ain't doing it. My mom's never wanted to. I can't. So I got this other job over at that little coffee shop over by Troop, working in the kitchen. So, thank God my money's good. I can stay in school. Yo, this is like this beautiful triangle connecting us to St. Jamal. The kind that makes music the most delicate part of a symphony, and life is writing songs inside of it, and all the complexities that come with that life and time and movement, this magnificent movement, which means it's constantly changing shape. And so this triangle of life can sometimes become a square, which now has four sides, kind of like a rhombus or a trapezoid, and it can stretch and pull, and it can even become a circle, and it can turn and spin and sit sideways and get all upside down, and it moves like a wheel through time, and it rolls and it waits for nobody, and nothing is all unpredictable, and life just keeps moving, and things just keep happening, and everything happens for a reason. And so something just happened. Jamal. Look, yo, Jamal has always been this very creative soul, and by the grace of God, he's had every opportunity to nurture that, which is cool and fortunate, and he's taking good advantage of it. I mean, he's going to be an important artist, not some fly-by-night panty-stalking pretty boy. Jamal is on the raw, yo. His hip-hop is game-changing. He's a beast on the mic. I mean, yo, Jamal, Jamal will leave you with the words pushing your brain up against your skull like question mark shaped chill bumps along your spine, sending messages to your reason and raising your arms like oh hallelujah, like Sunday morning choirs in Clinton Hill, like hopeful lies seen beyond the realm of anyone's possibilities. I mean, Jamal is every last drop of that. Saint, yeah, that's the. Thanks for the insight into every Latino and Jewish stereotype ever. Why always hold up? Why I gotta hold up? Why even buy into those kinds of stereotypes, Saint? Why even think that's funny? I don't know. You don't know. Well, do you understand that you are actually perpetuating this institutionalized racism that's going to continue forever if you don't stop speaking and acting in exactly the way most white people actually expect you to act? Forgiveness, yo, that's what love is, and this is love. And so Esther is in joyful tears, and they're all wrapped up in Jamal's arms and Saint's soul, and their hands clasped in the middle of the table. It's been like 9 years since that first day now, over and over, like young open pores, like locked elbows walking side by side, like soldiers in forgiveness, like fathers giving away brides to a lifetime of a gauntlet like fire.
But, you know, I had no idea. I didn't even know what the word aperture meant. I didn't know what white balance was, you know, ISO. I didn't know anything. But I said I want to make a movie. So, being who I am, I started to learn how does that happen. And so, you know, thanks to people like, you know, Danny Gebertz, Potato Jet, Parker Wahlbeck, you know, all these Peter McKinnon, all these amazing YouTube personalities. Filmmakers, I started to study all of these people. The Icelandic guy, like everybody I could find, I just devoured everything. And I learned a lot, you know. I learned about certain apps that you could use. I have an Android phone. I actually found out that my phone was one of the best phones for video. So I was excited. I also knew that my phone had the best audio capabilities for recording of any, you know, smartphone, you know, recording 24-bit. Plus, I was a professional musician for many, many years. I came from the music business, so I was a producer. I know about audio. I knew that my phone and my old phone too, I have an LG V40, but I had an LG V30 and LG V20. They all had amazing audio capabilities. So, learned as much as I could. I found out that I needed my phone. I got a clip with an ND filter. I got a little lavalier mic, a purple Panda. I used my LG V20 for audio. I recorded the entire film on my smartphone. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, I decided to make this movie. I started using my theatrical script, and I was recording for months and months. And by the way, with the great help of my friend Karina Casiano, who was pretty much my dramaturge for my play. She's just an incredibly gifted artistic mind and performer herself and writer. I mean, so anyway, she and I were talking through this a lot, and I started using my theatrical script. And for months, I was just recording and, you know, learning how to record myself. And, you know, I got a couple of tripods. I got a lot of, you know, I got a couple of cheap lights. You know, I spent a total of like $200 on the whole thing. You know, the ND filter that I bought cost me $11. The tripod I think was like 45 bucks. I got a light for 60 bucks, RGB, a Pixel RGB light, which is about the size of a credit card. And I was rolling, you know. So I started to learn, started to practice, you know, ISO, white balance, all of it. I used manual focus all the time. I didn't trust the autofocus, just never seemed right to me. You know, everything was kind of like pumping in the background as the phone was searching for focus all the time. So I used manual focus most of the time, which I found out was a great thing to do because it educated me even more in terms of filmmaking, framing, everything. I learned so much from all the people that I mentioned. But after 3 months, I realized I hated everything that I shot. Like everything that I shot, I hated it. And so I started to realize that I can't use, sorry, I just kicked the tripod. I can't use my theatrical script for this film. So I sat down and I wrote a screenplay from scratch, an entirely different story based on the same concept that my play is. My play is about my epiphany of, well, not an epiphany, but an amazing experience where I finally got in contact with my biological mother. I'm not going to say anything about that because I want you to watch the movie. So anyway, I wrote a new screenplay. You hear that? You could tell I'm in the Bronx, right? Craziness. Okay, so anyway, I wrote a new screenplay from scratch. Slowly, it became a completely different story than my theatrical script, which is a good thing. And so I started shooting, and it became like a love letter to my neighborhood as well. And so anyway, I wound up making a feature-length film on my smartphone, 2 hours and 6 minutes. It's being scored by a guy named Steve Peckman, who is an incredibly gifted musician, friend of mine, who you're going to think I had $1 million budget for this music. Also, a lot of friends of mine from the music business, singer-songwriter friends of mine, have donated songs, and I'm telling you, this would be the baddest soundtrack you've ever heard in your life. Like I can only hope that my film, my acting, my writing, my filmmaking lives up to anything that's even close to all these other contributions that I have for this film. But the thing is, I learned more in the past year or year and a half now than I have learned in my entire life. Like, I learned so much that I will comfortably say when I finish this project that I'm a filmmaker after all of this is said and done. I also had to learn how to use Davinci Resolve. Now, why did I pick Davinci as my video editor? Because it was free, and I was broke because every way that I make money was canceled, not postponed, and who knows when we're going to be able to get me back on stage. I have no idea. So yeah, I started using Davinci Resolve, which was, I felt like it was like learning how to do brain surgery from scratch. Like I was completely overwhelmed. But I had, of course, used audio software, recording software. So Logic Pro, Cakewalk, Sonar, Cubase, I used all of it, everything. I was actually a beta tester for Session 8, for Pro Tools. I know how to use audio software. So actually, it was a little bit easier for me to learn Davinci Resolve, at least at a basic level, where I could start cutting and pasting. I also used KineMaster on my phone to work out ideas. Like right after I would record, I would make little videos on KineMaster and kind of work out the cuts and the transitions and stuff like that. I also learned quickly that I needed like a massive amount of micro SD cards for my phone because these video files were huge. I wanted to record in 4K, but my computer at the time could not handle it, so I did everything in 1080. Still looks great, although because I had no idea what I was doing, I did not shoot the beginning of the film very well, and a lot of the footage, I can't fix it the way I would like to fix it. But I still think it looks great. I like it. I'm going to leave it. I could reshoot it, but I'm going to leave it because I want it to be a documentation of my first film ever. I love the way it looks, and mostly I love the way it feels, and it flows, and I love that it taught me so much. I love that I learned so much from this process and this journey of making a movie. So anyway, I just wanted to share that I'm here now because I started to, study filmmaking from all of these, amazing artists who I find to be incredibly generous of spirit, who come out here and just share so much knowledge. I mean, I know they're making money, you know what I mean? But they're not making that much money. And also they share with a lot of joy, you know what I mean? With a lot of, like, you can tell that they love what they do, and they're giving valuable information. So I started to watch that, and I was like, it's pretty well documented. If people who know me from Facebook and Instagram, I have pretty big followings there, that I have problems with social media. Like, I don't like the attacking of one another, just the chaos on social media. I find it childish. I find it a waste of time, and it just bores me, you know. So I find myself, even though you know, Facebook actually funded a huge project for me. A few years ago, my first play, you know, I wound up raising money like before anybody was doing GoFundMe's or anything like that. I had a fundraiser called 500 Names, and I raised a lot of money, and I put up a show, and this show wound up running off Broadway. So I have no bad words for social media. I got no hatred for it. I feel like I'm past it though, in a way, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't like what it's become. I feel like it's become a personal attack space, a space where people who actually believe in the same things, for some reason, go after each other. You know, it's just, I don't know, I guess it's part of the culture, which is fine. But for me, I also think just on a very fundamental level, I wanted to change. And so here I am at YouTube, you know. I find it to be much more professional, you know, like you can learn more on a creative level, especially as an artist, here on YouTube than you could ever learn on Instagram or Facebook. Like here, it's like tutorial land, you know what I mean? It's incredible. So I'm really enjoying being here. So I wanted to share that story. I wanted to say that I really, really look forward to seeing what some other artists have created during this time, you know, what's going to come out of it. This, I guess, will be my contribution, my first film, which is a smartphone film. Because of this process, I have just absolutely fallen in love with filmmaking. So I bought a camera, which I'm recording on now, the Sony a6400. I got myself some lenses, you know, and I spent less than $1,000. I got 5 lenses. But I have what I need, you know. I have a wide angle lens, you know, a Samyang, cost me less than cost me like 150 bucks. I have the kit lens, the 16-50, which I'm using now, and I usually use the kit lens at 23 millimeters because that's kind of like a proper 35, which is something that I like the way that looks. I got a 35 millimeter, which is really a 52 because of the crop sensor. If you're not here for technical reasons, I'm sorry about this part, but I just want to share this with anybody, you know, if any of these filmmaker or tech people are here. I got a 50 millimeter, 1.8, 35 is also 1.8, and I got the 55 to 210. And I love every one of those lenses. So, you know, when I feel like spending real money on something, I'm probably going to get that Tamron 17 to 70 because it's f2.8. And I do find myself shooting in low light quite a bit. So I think that would be a good lens for me. I'm also using the Crane M2, so I realize all of my lenses fit really well on that gimbal. But if I wanted to use the Tamron, or if I got, you know, some other good zoom lens, I'm gonna have to get another gimbal too. So I'm not ready to spend that money yet. So anyway, my film, which is called I'm Not Hers, will be finished probably sometime in July. And it's not really, I'm not really going to put it out there yet because I want to submit it to festivals, and you know, some of the festivals that I'm kind of looking at, they don't allow submissions from films that have been out there already. So, you know, I'll see how it's going to be released. But I did create a 4-part miniseries for my second play. Second play is called Brooklyn Quartet. And I'm an activist. You know, a very powerful part of my work for me, what really, really drives me, is the fight against white supremacy, racism, any kind of prejudice, homophobia, anything. Anti-Semitism, you know, any kind of xenophobia. I'm the guy yelling and screaming about that. And in fact, theater has saved my life because I've found a way to take all this anger and this hostility that I have in my body and get it out in theater work, you know what I mean? To create, like, take these difficult things and turn them into beautiful art and be able to share them in a space with all kinds of different people and just, you know, work things out together in a creative space, you know, in a sacred performance space. And I live to perform, like I live for the connection that I get with an audience. And so I did create a 4-part miniseries. I worked with a great filmmaker named David Diaz, who, you know, I realize now, and I wrote about this on social media, but I realize now that what I asked him to do and the way that I asked him to work with me on Brooklyn Quartet, I'm actually surprised that he finished the project and didn't just tell me to F off.
It was Saturday, November 25th, 2006. Jamal headed off to work that night up in the Bronx, off to a studio to rock some music.
Yo, white boy.
Esther headed back to her mom's place over in Bed-Stuy.
Yo, white boy.
Sand headed back to his crib over on Marcus Garvey.
Yo, white boy. Me? No, me. I look like a white boy to you?
David Diaz was like a superhero getting through this project with me. So we created a 4-part miniseries. It's not exactly what I was trying to, you know, I was hoping to go for, but I think it's an incredible marriage of live theater and film.
Yo, white boy named Jamal. Well, hold up, Saint.
Or it could be like a gift box.
You know what gentrification means, Jamal, huh? Let me tell you, man. Gentrification. The restoration of rundown urban areas by the middle class, resulting in the displacement of low-income residents. In other words, a whole bunch of white people with some money coming in and moving a whole bunch of black folks out of the neighborhood who have lived and worked in that neighborhood with their families for generations without any regards where those black families gonna go.
So I'm really, really proud of it. It was a first attempt. I think it's really good. I scored it myself too, because like I said, I'm a musician. So it was a gigantic project. It's four parts. The first 3 are about 30, 35 minutes. The last episode is 50 minutes. I'm gonna link the in the description where you can watch it if you'd like. They're here on YouTube for free. Just wanted to put it out there. It's a story of, it's based on the shooting of Sean Bell by New York City police in 2006.
50 shots, 50 shots, 50 shots, 50 shots straight out from the police. What were they thinking?
He was shot 50 times after his bachelor party. He was unarmed. He was shot with a couple of friends. I'm actually pretty close with the Bell family as a result of that project.
Have you ever heard, even one time in your life, a story like Sean Bell's about 3 guys who are white? Rest in peace.
Which is one of the amazing things about theater and art in general, is that, you know, sometimes the work that you do leads you to meet some of the most amazing people and have some of the most profound and meaningful experiences. So that play, it's not a documentary, it's a fantasy. I created a story of 3 kids who grew up together in Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. They're best friends, and it's a story about how their friendships get destroyed simply because of the way the world looks at them. A young black boy, a young white boy, and a young Latina girl who grew up together, and we followed them for 20 years. And I think it's a pretty cool story. So I would love it if you watched it, any kind, you know, and just let me know if you see it. I hope you enjoy it. Like I said, I'll put the links in the description. So that's it. I'm going to stop. I'm talking really fast right now because I think some of my videos have run pretty long. And again, anybody who knows my work knows I do not know how to tell a short story. So that's it for today. So I hope you're well. I hope everybody you love is well, and I hope you're feeling optimistic. I'm feeling very optimistic. And thanks for coming back, and I'm going to continue this journey. Have another video in a few days, but this one is the video for today. So thanks again. Peace.
Everything's easy. We'll shoot this at 1/320, so that's 320th of a second. You want to be able to see that whole entire landscape, sharp, perfectly clear, good to go. So you want to make sure that aperture is set to something like 8 or 11 or 22 or really, really high to make sure you're capturing detail. So look at this portrait, for example. This was captured with the aperture at f14.
Yo, love is like the way those pigeons look over on Kent Avenue down by Myrtle. When that dude who raised them lets them fly every night around dusk, you know what I'm saying, like around 6:30 at night, and you see them up in the sky, and they look like when the sun shines like waves in Coney Island and flow and sparkling reflection and light off those perfectly synchronized floating, flapping angels, and singing like heaven and dreams shimmering and dancing like hope and faith and belief and trust. I mean, that's what love is, yo. You can't explain it. It just is. Love just is, yo.